Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather forecast for June 7th through the 13th. And we've hit the eclipse season. We had the lunar eclipse a couple weeks ago with the full moon in Sagittarius. And the main thing this week is going to be the second eclipse of the eclipse season, which is the new moon in Gemini, about 10 degrees. So the week starts off really mellow, actually. Monday through Wednesday, not really a lot of active stuff happening. So it's like a quiet start to the week energy-wise. And even the moon hitting the Uranus-Saturn square was actually overnight last night, early Monday morning. So that's already passed as soon as we get up on Monday morning. And so anyway, we're going to go right to Thursday, that means. And Thursday is the day of the new moon in Gemini, which is a solar eclipse. And the new moon's in Gemini. Gemini itself, it's all about learning, collecting information. And a lot of it has to do with learning about the duality, the dualistic nature of the reality of what we live in here, the physical world, the light and the shadow. And so Gemini energy is a lot about searching for knowledge, and at its core, what it's really looking for is the search for our own soul, and looking like at the mirror, so to speak, and what do we see in that mirror? Perhaps now under this new moon, what we're seeing is a new part of us, or a part of our personality that may be coming out, that is ready to be planted like a seed in the soil with all of this new information that we may have been getting in the last couple weeks, couple months, couple years, but very, very interesting. But the new moon is a time of darkness where we're not really clear where any of that is going yet. And to top that off, if you think about the new moon in Gemini, Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury, and which is also in Gemini right now, but as I said last week, is now retrograde. So what's really interesting about this new moon is not only is Mercury, the ruler, retrograde, but Mercury is making its inferior conjunction to the sun on the same day that the new moon and eclipse is happening. So we have basically the sun, moon, and Mercury all at 10 degrees. And so, it right away, like the sun being so close to Mercury can already kind of like at times overwhelm Mercury and our way of thinking objectively, or in a detached kind of way, and get us really into like subjective thoughts. And sometimes our subjective thoughts have a big blind side to them, just like the new moon does too, where it's coming in from the darkness and it's a seed, and we don't know what that seed is going to grow into, or if it's ever even really going to reach full maturity. But we know it's a very delicate thing when it first starts. So, here we have all this coming in, and Mercury retrograde, and not only that, the whole new moon is also square Neptune. So that even adds more to the fogginess, confusion, misunderstandings, things like that, hidden things, deceptive things, secret things, things that we're being too idealistic about and not grounding in reality. So all of that is leading to like a lot of kind of like uncertainty or unclearness that can be happening in this new moon energy. Now, remember, when we talk about eclipses, I had said this last eclipse a couple weeks ago, a lot of times the lunar eclipses come more as an inner feeling. And yes, sometimes outer events are stimulated or manifested by those feelings. But the solar eclipses can be a lot more about some kind of outer event coming along and changing the direction of our life in a relatively sudden way, can almost act like Uranus energy, where it's a real sudden change. So in particular, for people who have planets at about 9, 10, 11 degrees in their charts, and in particular, mutable planets, those are the ones that are going to be the ones that are most activated and possibly in stressful ways. So, look at the house in your chart that 10 degrees Gemini falls into, and that's the place where you're going to feel this new moon energy, but like a lot of idealism and unclarity within that new moon energy and in that house. And that's going to tell you the area of your life where this new seed can be planted and, possibly get to a place where potentially some of your ideals will be able to bring you to new places and bring out that new part of your personality that you may see in that mirror of duality as we search for the truth, as we wander all around all day long, taking in what we do. Now, what's interesting also, like I've told you before when I've talked about eclipses have a really long cycle. They were born at a pole, either the North or South Pole, and for a couple thousand years, every time they come around, every 18 years, the same eclipses come around, and they move further down towards the equator until they become a full eclipse, and then they start moving down over the years to the next pole and become more and more partial. So the solar eclipses have been, studied and looked at and have been given a number called the Saros series that numbers each of these eclipse families. So this one that we're having this Thursday is Saros series North 5. And this eclipse began initially on October 12th of 1624. And so we can look at the birth chart of each of these eclipses, and just like your birth chart, it is imprinted on that family of eclipses for every time it comes up every 18 years. So it's very interesting that we have all this Neptune energy tied into this eclipse this week, because the initial eclipse had a Moon-Neptune conjunction. So the Sun, Moon, and Neptune were conjunct on that initial eclipse day back on October 12th of 1624. And that is really a powerfully potent eclipse in the sense of being able to birth our ideals into the real world, into this information of this energy of this eclipse going around, and they could really take hold onto something, and it could really become something very, very powerful over time. So there's a lot of inspirational energy, a lot of sensitive energy, a lot of even what we would call psychic energy. So what we need to do during this eclipse period is to look for the signs, look for messages that are coming to us from maybe abstract places, alternate forms of reality that are trying to tell us how we can move forward with these ideals we have and put them into a new reality, which, going all the way back, can appease that new part of your personality that you may be seeing in this Gemini mirror, looking for our twin. Where's our twin? It's right inside us. So a lot of it gives a lot of hope. It gives a lot of dreams. It gives a lot of visions. So you need to pay attention to that stuff now. And, I know a lot of people, they're so based in practical reality, and sometimes they wonder why it's not going well. Well, sometimes you're getting signs from other parts of reality that are giving you messages as to how to move forward on the practical realm. But it's not going to be easy. And that Gemini job is all about discerning information. So particularly during Mercury retrograde, even though this is new seed planting time, what we really want to do right now is mull over, chew over all these new ideas. How can you take your ideals and plant them in a new way that appeases and allows this new part of you that you've glimpsed to grow? And that is going to be what we really should be using this Mercury retrograde period, and really this whole month for, is to discern that and to sort through that. And I've been saying this really now for over a year because of the North Node being in Gemini, and it's going to still be another 6 months, I believe. So we still have another 6 months, and it's a time when there's a lot of information, too much information, disinformation, misinformation. So it's not an easy job to discern what is true for us, but maybe we can get a glimpse in that mirror now. Maybe we can pay attention to the signs, to the dreams, to the visions that we're having now, and it will lead us on that path of where it can work for us, and we can allow this new part of us to flower, and we can find more fulfillment in what we're doing because we are able to take some of those ideals and put them into practical reality. So, like I said, look at that house that 10 degrees Gemini falls into. If you have mutable planets in that zone of 9 to 11 degrees, yes, you may have a tougher time at this eclipse. You may have some, events that change your life, and you may have to ride it out. And the same thing in the world, countries that have planets or points in that zone, we're going to see probably some interesting changes going on. Now, a couple other things I want to mention this week, actually 3 other things. And remember, by the way, the exact square of the sun to Neptune isn't until Sunday. So that whole square of Mercury square Neptune, that's in effect the whole Mercury retrograde period, because it's a 3-hit transit. And then the square to the moon is exact to Neptune on the new moon day, Thursday, but the square to the sun isn't until Sunday. So we're going to have nearly 4 or 5 days of really feeling that and really just trying to feel our way through it, and trusting our emotional intuition to lead the way. All right, so then Thursday and Friday also have something I mentioned in my monthly forecast that I feel is one of the big parts of this month, and that is, we almost have the second Saturn-Uranus exact square, and this is the week where Ceres, the asteroid that represents nurturing and our needs, our security, our nest, our food, our home, things like that, things that we need to feel safe, secure, that we have a hearth to come back to, is going to conjunct Uranus this week and square Saturn. So I really think a lot of this second Saturn-Uranus square on a personal level for us is going to have to do with that part of like, where are we getting nurturing when the things that used to give them to us are starting to fall apart? Where are we going to get production and harvesting of what we seed if the systems that we were using before are starting to fall apart? So this is like a search for finding new ways to get security, maybe making new connections, getting new downloads, new approaches to those things, and realizing that the old forms and structures are falling apart. And here we have it in right now. If you look at this square on the macro level now, how it's affecting society, because it is two long-term planets. One of them's a social planet, Saturn, and one of them is an evolutionary planet, Uranus. So it's pulling the human race forward to evolutionize, to overcome structures that are no longer serving us in their best ability. We've moved beyond them, and we need to replace them with new things. So you can see a lot of this is happening in the world right now, and in particular, as I mentioned in my monthly, you're seeing it in the cost of a lot of goods getting more expensive, and supposed shortages driving that. So whatever the reason is behind that, it's the reality of what's going on our physical world and the shared reality that we have all agreed upon. So you can see this is going to be possibly a time where, having to tighten down and change the way we use resources and the structures that support that resource distribution, so to speak, may have to shift. And I think we're all sensing that. Now, a good change coming on too. On Friday, Mars is finally going to get out of Cancer, where he is really unhappy, and get to go into Leo, which is a sign that Mars definitely functions much better. And Mars can function in a much more singular, individualistic, subjective manner in Leo. And what's interesting when Mars goes into Leo, our actions are definitely dictated very subjectively, very individualistically, very even egotistically, subjectively. But we take a lot of pride in what we're doing, and most of our actions have to do with work or projects that we're involved in. So the really good thing about Mars going into Leo is we really, really throw ourselves into what we're doing. We're really get into it on a deep level, and we take a lot of pride in our work. So we're diligent, we're honest, we're hard workers. The problem with Mars and Leo is arrogance, and really it's easy to go there. What happens with Mars and Leo, because we have that kind of energy, it's a leadership energy, but leadership has a tendency to go to human beings' heads and get them very arrogant and self-righteous, even if it's on subtle levels. Or you could get, our last president of the United States, Trump, had Mars in Leo right on his ascendant. So you can see, his personality when he gets overboard about what he wanted to do, easily would go into what was being perceived as an arrogant, self-righteous tone. So this is the danger of Mars in Leo for all of us, is that we can get really out there on our own island and get irritated when anyone, questions what we're doing or the leadership position that we're in. And then we can really start to kind of go off. And, so the Mars in Leo just does not want to expose any weakness. So we'll get pompous, we'll get prideful, we'll get arrogant in trying to, or, even tyrannical in trying to shield that. But there is a lot of courage and confidence within Mars and Leo. Okay, and then the last thing I want to mention, very interesting weekend coming up for relationships. Venus on Saturday is going to make 3 aspects: a square to Chiron, a quincunx to Saturn, and a sextile to Uranus. And to me, this seems to be a little bit of a story here. It seems like the Venus square Chiron is the realization that maybe certain relationships are just never really going to be where you want them to be. That, they're stuck, they're snagged, they're tense, there's always some drama involved. And, the feeling is maybe one of like, that this relationship just is, not able to get a full maybe healing or find a compromise that makes it work well. So then the Venus-Saturn quincunx at that point will have people get to this point of realizing, I'm not happy with this, and I feel stuck because the other seems to be stuck in their pattern, and maybe feeling like for a long time you've been putting up with what you would consider lower behavior, lower energy level than you, and maybe this is about it. Maybe this is the time where it's time to separate from that energy. And, when you see the Saturn part too, a lot of times that's the people who are trying to be an authority in your life and really are overstepping their rights to do that. So it's a time, and maybe we've accepted that for a long time because of other reasons, but now, we've maybe find some other kind of validity and strength in ourselves, and we're kind of drawing a line in the sand now and being like, you know what, I think I'm done with accepting something that's less for me than what I want out of my relationships. And it may be, then we go right into Venus sextile Uranus. I will go and find new relationships. I will go find exciting new experiences, exciting new people, exciting new connections, exciting shared energy and socializing, and just get really excited and worked up, get new insights from those people, see new parts of yourself once again, form new relationships, many of which may not be more than short term, but they will bring some really interesting, exciting benefits. All right, that's what we got for this week. A very interesting week. So my service here for the blog, Astrological Winds channel, is on YouTube. And if you'd like, you just sign up, YouTube account, and become a follower and turn on your notifications, and you'll know every time I post a new blog. I am also, the Astrological Winds channel is also available on all kinds of podcasts. I know Apple iPodcasts is the one who gets the most, but there's about 15 different podcasts out there. So, check Spotify. It'll let you know what they are. Just look up Astrological Winds channel. I mean, it's very easy just to listen to my blog because there's not a lot of visuals involved. It's a free service. So please, in order to pay me back, the best thing you can do is pass the link on to someone else who's interested in astrology. If you'd like to make a donation, you're more than welcome to. Some people like to. My email is matthue823@gmail.com, and you can also hit me on Zelle or Venmo if you'd like to give a donation of any amount. And of course, I'm available for readings of all types: natal readings, predictive readings, look at your next year, relationships charts, children's charts, elections for timing your event for the best time, horary charts if you've got a burning emotional question that you just can't get a good and clear answer on, relocation if you're looking to move somewhere, fixed star readings if you're looking for your deeper soul purpose. So all kinds of things. I'm also available for events. Can do mini readings at events or lectures, and I do have 5 beginning classes available on Dropbox at $25 a class. It includes the whole zodiac, so if you're just interested in learning more about your sign or something, you can They're available as one-off, also available if you'd like to be a student and you do them sequentially, and I will keep adding more classes as time goes on to that. So yeah, I think that's about covers it. Once again, it's matthue823 at gmail.com, and get in touch. And yeah, until next week, this is Matt Lawton signing off from the Astrological Winds channel.